Could you tell us a little bit about who you play?
I play Ava, a robot in this film, which is quite a different thing. I haven't done that before. She is made, she has a maker who's made her, and he's, in this story, taken in this young guy, a programmer, to go through a Turing test to see if he's been able to make a robot that can be seen as human.
The Turing test is quite famous, isn't it? It's based on Alan Turing,
yes,
who we all know about from other movies. and it really is to determine, this is kind of the benchmark, isn't it?
Yes.
Which scientists will use to find out whether there is consciousness, or how would you describe it?
Yes, if you can have a computer and then believe that it has conscious.
So you're playing, Ava, so you're playing a machine with these human qualities. What kind of a challenge was that?
I mean, it was really exciting part to take on, because when I read the script, I was kind of intrigued by how it's a very intelligent script where it's so much subtext. So, the writer can actually kind of rely on just having most of the dialogue there, and you read things through the dialogue. It doesn't have a lot of stage directions, so it wasn't really a big description of what Ava is, what she looks like, what's there, and how she acts out those lines. So I kind of were given the opportunity to kind of have this clean sheet, and then just try to figure out myself who she is, and of course together with Alex. And it was a lot of conversation of, wondering how far to go, how much of whatever that is, playing a machine, how far away, how human you should make her. And then you start to question what is human and what is not human when you try to, transcend or speak out a line. If it's the voice, if it's the way you move, the way you look. So, we did a lot of, we talked many hours, but I think we kind of, if you see the film now, we try to aim for something very human to start with. And then it was almost like I tried to find the offbeats, trying to make her off-key for the audience, or for Caleb, who is interviewing her, to kind of suddenly question whatever she does and doesn't do, and then question what is human and what is not human.
So that question, what is human, it really is at the very heart of the film, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. And did you, during the process, did it change your opinion on AI?
Well, it did. I think we are, in our society today, we're surrounded by technology. We have things in our everyday life that we kind of don't even know how they work, because the evolution goes so fast. And I realized when I started to read the script, but also when I read articles about in Japan where they make human-looking robots already, that I'm quite scared of them. I'm scared of making technology that maybe would have the same kind of intelligence or whatever that is, or human abilities as I have, because you're afraid that they're going to, evolve and become even greater than we are, I guess. I think that is the fear. And then you wonder, what is that fear? And that's what I started to question when I made this film. And I started to also read a lot more about how the human body and the mind and brain function. And I, realized that if you break it down, you start to realize what a great machine our bodies are. And if you break it down into electrodes and signals in the brain, you even start to question what are human emotions? Are they just electrodes too? And in this film, you kind of, a very human feeling is to want to be free.
Now you look extraordinary in the film. Tell me how you achieved that look.
I mean, I didn't design the look. I mean, I think Alex kind of had an idea of what he wanted her to look like. But I think, it's weird how she looks strange, but, already when I saw a drawing of what they had in mind, it's strange, but it's something beautiful about it. And weirdly enough, it's when I saw the special effects, it was interesting how I could find those little, the machine itself. I could find that beautiful after a while, the way it moved and like the little lights and things. And I think it was very important, for Alex that she looked exquisite.
And but in preparation each day on set, how long would it take you to get ready?
I think it took about. In the end, we maybe got down to 3.5, but we started with 4.5, and then 1 hour after we finished shoot to just be able to get it off.
Take it off.
So I didn't sleep much for those 6-7 weeks. But, it's worth it. It was amazing to kind of get into, even though it was a pain. It was a heat wave in London while we were shooting it with tin roofs in the studio at Pinewood. And I had like 4 industrial fans surrounding me just to kind of keep my temperature down. But, it was interesting being in that room because you kind of forget how you look. Like when I went to the canteen one day and ordered food and suddenly I had people looking at me and I totally had forgotten that I was bald and had this forehead on top of my head. But then it was the same thing while I was shooting because there were so many like glass walls, so I could kind of suddenly see myself quite often. And that kind of helped to see this strange little figure or, see myself without hair and, it did help.
It really worked, though. It's an extraordinary look. Tell me about working with Alex. He's been involved with film for a long time now, but
yes.
This is the first time as a director.
Yeah, you can't really, believe that he's a first-time director. I knew that, he's done a lot of script writing. He's been on set working on other films that he's been involved in, but it's something about, if there's anything you would guess that a first-time director comes in with is being, nervous taking on because it's such, when people get to do them, it's so difficult to get films made, so it's your baby. And if you give him the chance as director, you want to, of course, give it everything. But he had such calmness to him. I don't think I've ever worked with a director who's as calm as him and still so extremely well prepared. And it's also that, I think my love for filmmaking is to walk into a room and be surrounded by great artists in every department, and everyone kind of gathers because they believe and have passion to make this vision, and he just let everyone do their thing. So it was a small set, a few actors in this one space, and it was a very enjoyable shoot.
Very few actors, really.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your colleagues. Oscar. Who does he play in the story? Just explain how he fits in.
Well, he plays this great kind of programmer. You kind of believe that he's probably owns one of the biggest companies in the world, a bit like, Google or Apple, that kind of empire. And he has now, because it's a very human thing, if you have the ability to do something, you are curious enough to try and go for it. So he's made this robot. And Oscar, I think he's done an amazing job with this part because, like, for all of us, it's, it is a thriller. You don't really know who the protagonist is, and you kind of question yourself and question everyone and what their wills and thoughts are throughout the film. And, he could be it's quite a rough, tough character, but he brings such sensitivity to it, which I think was just such a splendid thing to do. And we didn't have many scenes together, unfortunately, but...
You do have a lot of scenes there with Domhnall, don't you? And
yes.
Explain again how he fits into the story. His character is Caleb.
He plays Caleb, this programmer who has been brought out to this house to be part of this Turing test, to interview Ava to see if he believes that she has consciousness or not.
And he in a way is, again, we're never quite sure of where we are with each of the characters.
But you're kind of course, with Caleb, you kind of walk into the story he's like the bridge in for the audience, of course.
You did some long takes on this, didn't you, Alicia?
Yes,
Did you enjoy that?
I did. It's a very different experience because normally you have, lots of scenes, but here I think I had about 4 or 5 scenes with Domhnall, all of them 10, 12 pages long, which ended up being 20, 22-minute takes. And so it was almost like preparing for a little stage play. And that also made it possible for us to kind of try things out. Alex had this thing that he let us do almost 3 run takes. So we kind of, as soon as we were done, no one moved in the crew. We just went back to where we started and tried it again, because that made us kind of be in it. And with Domhnall, who I worked before, and we have good chemistry since before, we know each other, but suddenly you work with someone who's always willing to try new things, and because of the long takes, we always ended up going on, we take one other decision and then we went on a total other route, and we ended up doing a completely different scene. So it was very, fresh and exciting.